Welcome to our webinar on embroidering with frosted matte, Madeira's fade-resistant matte finish embroidery threads. With 13 locations throughout the U.S., Madeira USA has customers in all time zones. So good morning or good afternoon to you, depending on the state you're calling from. My name is Alice Wolf. I head up Madeira's marketing department. Joining me from marketing are Nancy Minnie and Sarah Westfield. Both of them have embroidered with frosted matte, so they will be sharing information with you and helping to answer some of your questions. Sarah actually has a few technical pointers to make sure everyone gets the most out of this webinar.
Hello, everyone. You may have questions about frosted matte during the webinar today. We do have the questions pane available for any of those questions you may have. Please type your questions into the text box and press the send button. I will be answering some of your questions through the question pane, and we will be answering them verbally as well during the webinar. Any questions that we do not get to today, we will be emailing out a Q&A to everyone from the session after the webinar.
Thank you, Sarah. While Sarah, Nancy, and I are in New Hampshire, Madeira's headquarters, off campus, we asked 2 additional people to join in as leaders in our webinar. Paulette Bell, embroidering for nearly 30 years, once an editor of Stitches magazine, and currently a freelance educator for Brother International's Home Appliance Division, is coming to us from Colorado. She's on standby to answer some questions and actually has discovered a unique application of frosted matte thread, which she will share a little bit later. Linda Morgan is a partner and owner of Stitch and Chicks Embroidery in Dallas, Texas. She's a customer of Madeira who's a great fan of working with frosted matte. So we've asked her to join in and help share her enthusiasm and some of her techniques. We will provide contact information for both of our guests at the end of the webinar. Okay, so we're going to get started. This webinar will cover the unique properties of frosted matte as well as the common uses and best practices for this thread. We have some takeaway points for you, or goals that we hope that by the end of this webinar you feel that you've learned. We hope you will be able to leave the webinar with a greater understanding of the benefits of using this thread, of digitizing for it correctly and embroidering with it for the best results, or at least curious enough to give it a try in your business. And ultimately, we'd like to remove the fear factor of trying something new. One important point, the very first one that we'd like to make, is that frosted matte remains the only true matte finish embroidery thread on the market today. While others may claim to carry such a thread, theirs is often a cotton-based sewing thread, which is not really intended for embroidery, but used for construction and straight lines. This makes sewing thread really not suitable for the delicate, intricate work of embroidery. Frosted matte is 100% polyester thread that contains a ceramic ingredient. This special ingredient allows for a smooth, crisp, matte finish, unlike that of a fibrous or hairy cotton thread. Sometimes embroiderers will use a sewing thread to achieve a matte finish look. Sewing thread does not run as smoothly as embroidery thread. Frosted matte was developed specifically to achieve this look and for running on high-speed embroidery machines. And if you look at the image on your screen now, you can see the difference of what a magnified version of the 2 threads will look like. The ceramic ingredient that's found in frosted matte is what gives it its most appealing attribute of all, its extreme fastness to light. It is also a contributing factor to frosted matte's notable, vivid colors. Sometimes we call them high-definition colors. For items that are exposed to sunlight continuously, such as boat cushions or patio furniture covers, frosted matte will hold up better than any other embroidery thread, rayon or polyester. Through rigorous testing at an independent lab, frosted matte received a 7 out of 10 rating for its color fastness, meaning that color will not change when embroidery is left in direct sunlight for 1 year. To put this into perspective, the average embroidery thread on the market receives approximately a less than 5 out of 10 rating, leaving its ability to hold color before the embroidery begins to fade at less than half a year when exposed continually to direct sunlight. The extreme color fastness of frosted mat is particularly attractive to anyone embroidering on items to be used outdoors in the sun. These items may include ski jackets in the winter, golf apparel and accessories, swimwear, patio furniture, and boat cushions in the summer, and fashion boots in the fall. Resort wear in any climate can benefit from this attractive feature. As with many specialty threads, there are a few tricks of the trade to get best results from embroidering a frosted mat. I'm going to ask Nancy, who's actually embroidered with it, to explain some of those to you.
Hi everyone. While frosted mat is considered to be a 40-weight thread, it is slightly thinner than the standard 40-weight rayon or polyester. So we recommend adjusting the density for large fill areas and for the light color designs embroidered on dark fabric. If you use an outside source for digitizing, be sure to let them know the areas where you want to fill, where you're going to fill in with frosted mat. We recommend that they set the density at a 3.5 with a maximum of up to 4.0. Frosted mat will stitch out as efficiently as your standard 40-weight thread, so swap on a cone frosted mat and use a standard 7511 or 65/9 needle, and rest assured that your embroidery machine will run well at high speeds.
While we've covered the biggest utilitarian attributes of frosted mat, it's also an excellent addition for creative work, and this is an area where Linda can really address this better than I can. The matte finish creates a realistic tone-on-tone effect for a subtle embossed look on linens and garments, and mixing in frosted mat with classic rayon, polyester, or metallics will give a sense of texture to your design. On your screen now you see two stitch outs. The cupcake that's on the right was used as a giveaway at trade shows that Madeira attends throughout the year. We mixed frosted mat with a metallic thread and with some rayon. And the Santa Claus on the left is a design that Linda did. Linda, could you discuss this for a bit?
Sure. I really like the definition that frosted mat gives in the textures, because to me, even though I use the matte finish for Santa's face, it makes him pop out even more. And everyone knows that Santa's eyes are supposed to glisten, and so I made sure the eyeball was used with frosted mat and then used the regular poly so the shine would be in his irises. And I did mix it all with metallics, and you can just see that, you know, it just kind of makes his face pop out between the regular poly thread and the metallics. So I just love it. It does great for faces for me.
How many different thread types are in the Santa face?
The Santa face has frosted mat. It has regular poly thread. It has 4 different kinds of golds and an iridescent thread through the beard. I just lost my image. Am I still on?
Yeah, yep, we can hear you. Okay.
Oh, okay. It just went away from me for a minute. I got it back. So
okay.
That's how many different threads are in there.
Okay.
I just like to use a lot because it just really makes it look custom, and people seem to really love it when it's all different textures. It shows that you put a lot of love and work into your design.
Okay, Linda, there's a question coming through from someone that states every time I tried to run the machine at 800 stitches per minute or above, there's a problem. Is there an answer for that? What could cause that?
The only time I've ever had a break with frosted mat was when my needle had a burr on it. And when I changed the needle, I never had another problem. And the only thing it did was it was shred. But I sewed this Santa face at 1,000 RPM or stitches per minute, and I didn't have a problem with it at all.
Okay, good to know. We're going to take a look at some of the different designs that we've done now.
I just noticed one question up there I just wanted to address. The frosted mat is actually a polyester-based thread. So just wanted to kind of throw that out there. That is one of the things that makes it, you're able to bleach it, under the guidelines that are provided for that. I wanted to just kind of throw that out there for you. So take a look at this, these base jump stitch outs. The one on the right is done with frosted mat. It's vibrant and crisp. When you see it in real life, it has an amazing sense of clarity and depth. The clarity seen here is the result of the matte finish without the extra fibers of a cotton sewing thread. Without the luster and shine of the rayon or polyester, embroiderers are able to achieve crisp lines and lettering. When you compare the lettering done in standard 40-weight thread, lettering becomes more legible when done in frosted mat. This feature also makes it suitable for most designs that are digitized for 60-weight or the thinner weight thread. Creating crisp details, even the small-scale designs, will look beautiful. This is evident in the B part of it script embroidered on the bracelet seen at the bottom.
Paulette Bell has discovered a new technique that can be a good area for a use of frosted mat. Paulette, could you talk about what's up on the screen now, please?
Yes. What I've done, or what I've discovered with the frosted mat thread, is at Brother International, we do have some designs that are called crochet designs. And those run very, very well with the frosted mat due to the weight of your thread and the thinness of it as compared to a regular 40 weight. But what it does when I stitch these designs is it gives me the effect and the look of the true crochet, because it is with true crochet designs that people do by hand usually, is they use a cotton thread, and so this frosted mat gives me the look of the cotton thread. And I've run the Brother designs, the crochet designs, but I've also run, yesterday, I ran some designs that were freestanding lace designs, and they were done by or digitized by John Deere from Adorable Ideas and Steve Wilson with Anita Good Design, and I ran theirs with the frosted mat and got the same spectacular results. And now I am running this on the Brother PR machine, which is their 10-needle machine, and I can run those at 1,000 stitches a minute with no breakage at all. And I do have to wind my own bobbins for this machine for the use of these threads, because I want I want the same look on either side of the design. And so I just wind those bobbins on a regular sewing machine, but they are full rotary bobbins, so they're not a standard pre-wound. I wind these myself with the thread I'm using. So I get beautiful results, and I'm very, very happy with them. I know that some of these designs will become gifts to my friends to hang on their Christmas trees as Christmas ornaments. And I know they'll last for years because they are the polyester thread. And so that's my intention for these, is to be gifts. Okay. And again, I've had no problem stitching with it, at 1,000 stitches a minute on the machine. So the person, whoever is having trouble with his stitching, might want to check their needles. Again, like Linda had said, it may be a burr or something like that. I didn't have any problem. I was using a 7511 needle as what I read on the thread cards themselves.
Okay. Have either of you? Sorry. Have either of you ever used the double thread technique? Is the question that just came in.
I'm not sure what they're referring to by double thread technique. If that's on a home sewing machine with double threads.
Yeah, with a double needle on the home sewing machine, or on a commercial machine.
I'm not sure. That was a question that came in from one of the
listeners. Yeah, if you want to clarify that question, type it in, and we'll see if we can help out with that.
Or they may be thinking that they can run 2 threads through 1 needle and get double colors. I have not tried that.
Okay.
No, I haven't tried that either.
Linda, there's a question specifically for you. that the Santa face looks wonderful. An attendee is writing, I can see it works well with faces. We're creating designs with animals, such as elephants and giraffes. Can I get the same effect with animals as you did with your Santa face?
Yes, I think that you can. I think that it's certainly if you had like a face or something where you really, really, really wanted to focus, say, on a tiger eye or an elephant's eye, yeah, I think it would work in very well. And if you're putting it in a safari scene, I think a matte elephant that's colored would look awesome. And then you can make the jungle in the background very vivid with regular polythread. I think that would look fabulous.
Also, frosted matte, because it has no gloss to it or shine. I've seen that used on designs for animals to resemble fur, because fur is kind of more of a matte finish than shiny, a shiny look.
Well, I know this would probably is throwing in another Madeira thread, but I think using the matte and the Burmalina on an animal would be fabulous. I think, that way you could show the fur of the animal and the face, and I think that would be great.
That would be. The Burmalina is a wool blend thread that I've also seen used for animal designs, which works really well. There's a technique that they use with that where they will stitch it out and then brush it with like a toothbrush to get some of the nap of the Burmalina to stick out a little bit more, and that does make for nice animal designs. Just trying to look for some.
Paulette, when I embroidered, this is Nancy, I embroidered the lace flowers over there using a cutaway, wash-away backing, washes away real nice and easy on it. A customer had asked what we use for backing. So it is a standalone lace. I used a backing that's going to wash away. Just wanted to confirm, do you do the same thing with the crochet as well?
Yes, I did. I used a stabilizer that it's very lightweight, very sheer. And it's like a no-show mesh, but water soluble. And I did use a, pardon?
Yeah, that's what I used as well. It just washes away real quick and easy.
It's real quick and easy. And what I actually did as well is I made sure that I was using the adequate size hoop. In other words, I'm going to run just one design at a time in this size hoop that is best accommodating for that design. In other words, I'm not going to bump it up to a very large hoop and do as many as I possibly can, because that throws the tension off. So I'm going to run it in a 4x4 or whatever for the machine. And the same for the industrial, because I've run this on my industrial machines too. I have an industrial brother, and I run it on there, and it works just as well. Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
You know what? The one thing that I like to mention too, because I have promoted this to some other end users, is that this thread actually has quite a varied color range. In other words, you've got 161 colors, and that just absolutely floors me that that's, that there are that many colors. Usually people think that it's going to come in black and white and a couple of other colors, but your range on this is really quite good.
It is very good.
You mentioned in doing the crochet look, winding your own bobbins with frosted matte?
Yes. And what I did is I actually set that up on my home sewing machine and put it on a thread tree so I could get, the height so I could wind the bobbin. And the bobbin was a parallel wind, and it wound just perfectly, absolutely perfectly on a metal bobbin for this machine, and it runs well. I had no problem with it. And the beauty of that is you do pack a lot of yardage on those cones that you've got. I think, don't you have close to
2,700.
2,500?
2,700?
2,700. And so that's very accommodating for somebody who's going to be winding their own bobbins, because they've got enough thread on there to run several designs plus wind your own bobbins.
One of the attendees is asking where they can find the crochet designs. Did you create those or find them somewhere?
Oh, those are brother designs. And
brother designs, okay.
Yeah, they are brother designs. And I think that they can go up to either contact their brother home sewing dealer, because these are sold through the home sewing division. they'd have to contact the dealer in regards to those crochet designs, okay?
Okay. I see another question. Speaking of winding the bobbin, I have a Melco 16 needle XT. Can you tell me more about why the tension is thrown off in a larger hoop when using the freestanding crochet or lace design?
Why it's thrown off? Because if you think of it as this, you're stitching on one side of the hoop, and then you're going to be doing in the center. And when you've packed in so many stitches on one side, when it's packed those in and it gets to the next design, it just doesn't quite meet up. I much prefer getting perfect tension in a round hoop, tension all the way around on the design, and sewing it in the smallest field I possibly can for tension purposes. It doesn't then pull away from the other stitches in the design.
And that's kind of true for embroidery as a whole.
In general,
you always want to use the smallest hoop
Right.
To fit the design, because you get a better stability.
And that backing that was used on the crochet, one more time?
Oh, that was, I used 2 layers of a no-show water-soluble mesh, okay?
Okay. All right, at this point, I just want to encourage people to type in their questions. We're going to take a look at some more designs that were done in Frosted Mat. I guess you lose a little bit of the clarity on a screen like this, but in real life, the colors are very vivid. I think you can see that in what's here with the flowers mixing the metallic, with the cats mixing Frosted Mat with a polyester.
And I would say this too. If you're trying to get a look like Paulette was doing, but you want it to be real modern, y'all have neon colors as well, which you never can find in cotton. It's absolutely impossible to find. If you want it, I mean, they would be really pretty. Used as it wouldn't be traditional, but it would be very pretty if you had a really modern, bright tree. So I think that's really good. I like the neon colors as well.
Okay.
So on the left side with the flowers and the ivy, the leaves and the ivy are frosted mat. The flowers themselves, the petals on the flowers are frosted mat, and we accented this one with some metallic. So you see that nice bright purple in the outline along the ivy, and the vines is also outlined in metallic as well. So it was a great way to contrast. We used the FS, a smooth metallic 45 weight, bit on the thicker side, so it really enhanced that metallic along with the frosted mat. Now we'll take a look at the next design. This guy, I think, is a real cutie. This is completely all frosted mat, but it was just a real funky design, and it was a great way to use those bright colors with those cute cats. And this one here is also done in all frosted mat as well.
Just a quick answer to a question. We don't have frosted mat bobbins, and when Paulette was mentioning them, that was something that she wound herself, but which is something that you could think about doing, but we don't sell pre-wound frosted mat bobbins.
Right, but you would use your empty cases. You wouldn't want to use, I did notice a question there that somebody asked if you could actually use the empty paper-sided ones. You wouldn't want to use those paper-sided cores to rewrap. You'd use either the metal or the plastic bobbin cores that you can purchase either locally or at your machine parts store. And like Paulette said, you can wind those with your as your bobbin thread.
Someone's asked what happened to the E in mat. I can tell you that it's not a question of our being bad spellers. When the name of the thread came to us from Germany, frosted mat was lacking an E. So I know it's a little disconcerting. You'll see a press release or you'll see something written about the matte with an E finish of frosted matte thread without the E. So we apologize for that confusion. That was delivered to us as a done deal. So we did not have the option of adding that E on to make it correct.
There was a question in there that said, asked if frosted matte is good for small lettering. It absolutely is. On those corporate logos where they have their corporate saying underneath it, generally those are in small letters. You can do those in 60 weight and it comes out well. And generally you can substitute frosted matte into those designs that are digitized. So not only is it great for small lettering, you can achieve real clarity with those small letters like you saw on that bracelet earlier. It just, that clear, crisp matte finish really pops out on the small lettering. So it is great for the small letters.
One quick question, are we saying that frosted matte has to be on the bobbin as well? Absolutely not. That was a technique that Paulette was talking about specifically to do with crochet. You do not need frosted matte on your bobbin. Another question that came in from an attendee, can frosted matte be used for patches on motorcycle jackets? And that's something that actually there was a very well-known motorcycle club that came to Madeira and asked if we would be able to take a look at their leather jackets and tell them why the reds were pink, not a good color for this particular motorcycle gang. And so they were told that frosted matte should be tried. They tested it, and frosted matte worked extremely well on motorcycle jackets because of being exposed to the sun for great lengths of time. So that is
a great idea.
It is. It's also with the matte finish, it's kind of a more masculine look if people are looking to avoid the shine or the luster of a regular thread.
Well, it strikes me as being more of a distressed look, which is very popular these days. And you'll find that, in embroidery as well, where they have more of a distressed look on patches and on leathers and, just on garments in general. So I would think that that would be a great advantage to anybody wanting to do, that look on outdoor gear or other types of things, meaning like on hats and things like that. So with that nice, matte look.
Absolutely. Also the vintage look, distress, like Paulette's talking about, the vintage look for people that are looking for ethnic looks. It's got a very fashion orientation to it as well. Linda, in your experience, one of the questions is the major differences between frosted matte and polyester thread. I can address this just based on the attributes of the thread, but in terms of using it, could you answer that question?
Well, the difference to me is mainly the sheen, and that's why I use it when I'm trying to make something pop or make something fade into the background, depending on how I use the other threads. It's kind of like choosing a different kind of paint, when you're painting a picture. Sometimes you want something to have a sheen, and sometimes you don't. And, it makes a big difference in how the overall picture would look. And because they sew the same and the attributes are similar, it blends right in with the picture. So the Stitch and Chips, we just love it because we do a lot of custom work, and a lot of people want something that looks totally unique, and frosted matte is unique. So it's something that we use a lot.
I think that's a good answer. I know that like polyester, frosted matte can be put into a wash water that has diluted bleach in it. So it is a strong thread as well as being color fast. And also on our on Madeira's polyester color card for our polyneon thread, the colors that are Pantone colors are matched as well to the frosted matte. So if somebody were trying to do a design that was in poly, they wanted to add some shading effects with the frosted matte, they'd actually be able to look at that card and get the same color numbers that were matches, the matte finish and the shiny finish together.
Right, if you were doing a Stargazer Lily, for example, you know, you could do, if you really wanted the color to pop, you could use the cream colors to do the frosted matte background. You could use the rayon or metallic to do the bright magenta pink. You could use, I could just see so many uses of this. It's like if you wanted to, with just using frosted matte and your favorite in metallic and the poly, I mean, if you wanted to show, my granddaughter is a real big fan of pigs, and I'll do matte pigs and you know, make the mud all shiny where they're all dirty, or make their snout shiny, and she just loves them. So they're great on her jeans because when she's out playing and she does all kinds of stuff, so her mom can throw it in the wash and it comes out looking just like it did when I embroidered it. So there's a lot of uses I can see.
Another attendee has written in, is this a good thread to use on tennis terry cloth towels for tournaments? I think you might have the nap of the terry to think about, but I think that you would agree, either one of you, that this is a good use as well?
Oh, yes, I think you would have to adjust the density, you know, because of the toweling, but I think it would be fabulous.
Yeah, I agree with Linda. Yeah. It's,
Paulette,
oh, go ahead.
Sorry. There was a couple of questions, Paulette, that kind of go together. People are asking about digitizing and, you know, the best use for the small letters. They're asking, you know, what is the smallest size that you can do for with this thread? And is it better to use 60 weight or frosted matte for the small lettering?
In my business, when I do small lettering, I'm going to do several test sew-outs first of all, but I think with the frosted matte you get much better results because it is a thinner than the regular 40 weight polyester thread, and I would much prefer using that anyway for the small letters. And I know if I said 1/4 of an inch is the smallest I'd do, you know, there are times when I've been pushed down to 3/8 of an inch, you know, to be able to get as much text as possible on, you know, on a logo or something. But, you know, for the most part, my small letters are right around 1/4 of an inch, especially when I'm looking at monograms on a left cuff for a guy.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And I'm going to back off the needle size as well, or I used to for the, you know, when I was running the regular polyester, but since this is a little bit thinner, I can get away with running a 7511 still on that.
Right.
When I'm doing a test stitch out, pretty much with any thread, I do like to use a woven twill type fabric. I like to start out with something like that. What do you two like to do, use for your stitch out samples for fabric?
It depends upon what I'm stitching, because if somebody's requesting a polyester cotton blend shirt that is knit, then I'm going to test on a knit fabric. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm doing on a Carhartt jacket, I'm going to be testing on as heavy duck fabric as I can. And then if I'm doing like just a regular shirt, then I'm going to test on, you know, fabric that is somewhat accommodating to, you know, the shirt they're using. You can tell I go to the Goodwill a lot and buy just sample shirts and just stitch the heck out of them, because one of them is really expensive. Yeah, so that's what I do. But I want to use something as close as possible as what I will be doing the final stitching.
Right. That makes a lot of sense.
Yes, and that's what I do too. Unless we're making it for a sample book, we're just making a sample book look so people can see what we've done. And we usually use felt, you know, and embroider on that.
Mm-hmm. Linda, a question that just came in: if you are stitching out a design that is pre-programmed, how would you change the density on that?
I would make it denser. I know that's a terrible way to answer the question. Paulette can probably do this better than me, because I go into Wilcom and I just make it denser. I have more stitches, and I'm not a math person, so I'm not really good at talking about. It's always opposite than what I think it's going to be, but I increase the density, and so that there are more stitches per inch than there would be regularly if I'm doing it on something like a towel. When I did the back of this jacket with the Santa Claus, I didn't change anything. I just put the thread in. So I just really think it's what you're sewing on is whether you need to adjust the density or not. I know it sounds stupid, but I use Wilcom, and I go in and I adjust the density, and I can tell by looking at the design that there are more stitches per inch than there were before. Can you do that, Paulette? Can you explain the density adjustments? Okay, thanks.
Sure. Because I remember I wrote down, I referenced your suggestions for the density on the thread for the frosted mat as 3.5 to 4.0, and that's in regards to points and not stitches per inch. So I might raise that just a little bit higher for some designs. But I'm also going to say stitches per inch, that's a totally different situation, because then I'm running, I could be running 60 stitches per inch, or I'm going to be doing 65 stitches per inch. It's a different system. But for me personally, if I were going to be doing something on a terry cloth towel, what I probably would recommend, or most likely recommend, is one, I'm going to run up my underlay density, and then I will be able to lay down the nap of the towel, and then I will have made adjustments to my top density as well, but not as significant as I would if I didn't have any underlay stitching. I don't know if that makes sense to a lot of people, but on terry cloth or anything with a nap, what I'm going to do is lay down the nap with my underlay stitching and then do my top stitching over it, okay?
Right, that makes sense, and then I always use a topper as well.
Right.
Water-soluble topper.
Right.
Okay, I know Nancy was hoping to address the two designs that you see on your screen now. These are both done in all frosted mats, and I'll let her talk to you about it.
One of the Madeira associates of ours actually digitized these, and as you can see, we've had them up there for a little while. Hopefully you've been able to see them well. We're focusing in on them. They're very graphically, artistically created, and unfortunately, one of the limitations with looking at frosted mat on a monitor is it does limit it a little bit, but I think that you can see the beautiful work digitizing wise that was done on this one. The other one, the next image would actually has a lot more stitching in it, and this is basically a painting that was turned into an artistic looking digitizing wise as well.
That looks kind of like a Van Gogh.
It's
really pretty.
There's a real variety in what you can create with this thread, as with most threads. But I think with the matte finish, there's a lot more that you can do with it as well.
And you know what this is Paulette, you know what I just noticed about that is when you use the frosted mat, and I can see this, on screen, is I don't have to engage as many of my shading techniques that I would have to use with a shinier thread, be it polyester or rayon, with the frosted mat. I mean, this gives me its own shading technique, so to speak, with the frosted mat thread. It really does.
Yeah, it does, and I never thought about that either, but it does make it so you have to use less.
You have to use less, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point,
it's a lot
too.
more subtle.
Yeah. And the design you have on the left of the woman's face reminds me of a lot of the designs that the younger people are doing, especially some of the folks at Urban Threads. She has a lot of very loosely stitched designs that use a lot of those type of shading techniques. And I'm real eager to run some of her designs with some of the frosted matte thread samples that I've got because.
Oh, me too. What a great idea.
Thank you.
Enthusiasm is contagious.
Yes, it is. It's just contagious when you think about this. But because she uses a lot of those same type of shading techniques that that would be very accommodating to your frosted matte thread.
Kind of like that tricycle.
Yeah, that tricycle would be great.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It looks a lot like something Urban Threads would do.
Yeah.
The tricycle, I love the way the handlebars are. That's so cute.
That's wonderful. I love that.
Yeah. I'd just like to let all of our attendees know that we will be collecting the questions. Some of them were repeats, but we'll eliminate the repeats and run all the questions and our answers and be sending them out to you by email. So if you've missed any of the questions while you were watching or listening, we'll be able to get that out to you later today. Also, later today, by the end of the day, we'll be putting a recording of this webinar up on our website in the video section. So you'll be able to see it again if you wanted to refer back to any of it. At this point, I'd like to kind of summarize the takeaways that we were after at the beginning of this hour. Again, feel free to type in your questions as I'm speaking, and the people that are off campus also have the ability to answer your questions at this point. But one of the first things that we were after was that you be able to take away a greater understanding of the benefits of this specialty thread, the things that it has to offer. I think that we illustrated for you and discussed the fact that it provides a very vivid, high-definition color to your designs. It's extremely color fast when exposed to sunlight. We talked about some of the aspects that would really lend themselves to using frosted matte. It is ideal for use on items that are exposed to continuous sunlight, from boat covers to motorcycle jackets. It can be used for small lettering and detail. It's almost simultaneous with 60-weight thread, so it's something that you can think about if it's a badge that will be exposed to sunlight, or if your end product will be exposed to the light for a great deal. You can consider using a frosted matte as well as a 60-weight thread.
So remember to digitize correctly for it. It is slightly thinner than a 40-weight thread. You adjust the density in some areas to 3.5 to a 4.0. That bike tricycle that's up there, the only thing that had to be adjusted was the black that's on there, so the tires and the handlebars. The rest of it ran perfectly fine with the frosted matte. Keep that in mind.
Okay.
How to get started was one of the takeaways, and if you happen to be in the Orlando, Florida area between April 11th and the 13th, please stop by Madeira's booth number 316 at the ISS show in Orlando, Florida. Pick up a free sample. For those of you who won't be in Orlando in April, you can take advantage of some special pricing. We do have frosted matte cones, the 2,700 yard cones on sale in our monthly specials for April. We've started that sale early today so that you can, that sale is basically $1 off each cone. We also have kit prices. We have selected the more popular colors in pastels, primaries, neutrals. We have a starter kit that is well priced. And we do have free frosted matte designs on our Madeira website, so it is possible to get your thread and then try some of the designs from our website so that you can see how they're going to work for you.
So we hope we've removed the fear factor of trying something new today. But if you still need some help with frosted matte, we're still here for you, so you can speak to a customer representative at the 1-800 number that you see up there on the screen. You can chat online with us at madeiramart.com. Our customer representatives are very knowledgeable with this thread, and they can help you out with any of the questions that you have. Or you can contact one of our speakers today. Again, their information is up there on the screen for you.
I'd like to thank you. We'd all like to thank you at this point for spending this portion of your afternoon with us. Both Paulette and Linda have very graciously provided us and you with their contact information So if you had a further question for either of them, they're willing to take those questions offline. Again, we'll have this webinar, the recording of it, up on our website by the end of today. We'll be sending you all questions and answers that you shared with us today. So we'd like to thank you again for your time. We hope that you believe it was well spent, and we sincerely hope that you'll give Frosted Mat a try. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.